Hey, what's up? It's Brian Scalabrine, the White Mamba, also 2008 World Champion Boston Celtics. Now, you're listening to the Boston Big Three podcast presented by Ride the Wave Media.
All right, Boston's Big Three, episode 66 is presented by Ride the Wave Media, sponsored by House of Blues and Sausage Guy. Babs, you could speak a little more about that. I know you guys have some plans working up with them for this Friday.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad that in baseball we're not allowed to go inside Fenway Park this year. Fans are not allowed to attend any games. I said baseball's dead. Obviously, it's not dead at all. They're getting their thing going. Their season's happening. Myself and GRD will be down at Fenway Park. House of Blues, Sausage Guy. They have a little restaurant thing set up on a rooftop bar. We're just there to show everybody all season long how many home games they have. 30. You know, half the 30 games. We're trying to show everybody out there this is the place to be. Lansdowne Street's going to be completely closed. There's no vendors allowed there. It's all restaurant, outdoor seating, so you have to find a place to sit. They will have screens outside for people to watch. So we're heading down there Friday. We're picking our place with the House of Blues. Sausage Guy hooking it up as well, too. And, just follow us on Ride the Wave, Spike King, or GRD. We'll show you what it's like if you want to come down to the Fenway area.
That's pretty important, too, because, like you said, there's not going to be fans in any seats pretty much anywhere across baseball. There could be a chance later in the season. We'll talk about that a little bit. Yeah, but it's going to be like that's going to be the new normal for watching sporting events. You're going to go get as close to the stadium as you can and hang out with everyone that wants to be inside but can't.
So here's the thing, too, just to see this. Every restaurant down there is competing with each other. They're going to want, any sort of, clientele to come in there. An example, Bleacher Bar. They have the insight to see inside the park. That's a seller. That's a cellar there. Now, the House of Blues has a rooftop, which is a parking garage. That's where all the home runs come when they hit them over the green monster. So you might catch yourself a home run ball or a practice ball if you get there early.
Or get a concussion.
Or get a concussion.
You got to be looking up. You have no idea when the sun's going to come falling out of the sky.
So it'll be interesting to see because, you know what, this is historic. I mean, it's just absolutely bananas that we can't do it. You know what sucks is I was just talking to Michelle about this before we came on. Think about Causeway Street. The Bruins and Celtics are in playoff mode now. Now that their shit's starting, all those bars and restaurants are closed. Nothing's going to go on there until Christmas time when they end up having the NBA come back or the NHL season come back. So they're hurting. All these restaurants are hurting. So we're trying to support some local restaurants, some local areas. And then, you know what? If people say you shouldn't be out, this and that, we're going to be socially distant. We're going to be wearing our masks. We know what we're doing in Massachusetts.
Ride the Wave.
Good guy, Babs. For the people. For the people.
Opening day is this Friday for the Sox. I think we have Eovaldi on the bump. However, news that came out today, if people think that Mookie Betts was going to come back after this season, Mookie LA Betts 13-year, $380 million contract looking to be signed. And if that shows you one thing, athletes just want to live in LA when compared to colder cities because the Sox, I guess, didn't offer him $380. They were still trying to extend him. Granted, I think it was only, 300-ish million?
Yeah.
When it came down to it, it's like, you'd rather live in LA making close to $400 million over the next 13 years, or do you want to come live in the Boston where it's tougher media, tougher weather, not as bright as the future potentially? Who knows?
What we're saying right now is Mookie Betts is a pussy. Is that what we're saying right now? That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, I get it.
I will never
chase your bag. The only thing I don't get is the people that are people who say he's as good as Mike Trout, blah blah blah, and they let him walk. First of all, he's not as good as Mike Trout. Second of all, he's probably the second best player behind Mike Trout. Maybe you could argue who it is. Totally. Yeah. So with that, the whole thing is why would you not pay him? He's the best player. Blah blah blah. And everyone's freaking out Sox fans think he's Mike Trout and all this and all that. And they're losing their minds over that. Yeah. But then they're losing the fact that, he's not Mike Trout, but he's the second best player. We kind of let him walk basically for nothing. Who did we get? What's this guy? Verdugo?
Alex Verdugo. And
is he anything? I didn't watch their exhibition game.
He'll beat expectations. It won't be like having some bum out there. He's a great ball player, but it's not like
having Mookie Betts' shoes.
Yeah. Right. Well, what sucks about it is, like, Mookie Betts was the fan favorite. He was one of those guys that fans loved to cheer for. He's one of those guys that even if you weren't a big baseball fan, you could cheer for Mookie Betts. He's that guy that's like 5'9". Anyone can play baseball, and getting fans in the seats, and just this exciting player who ends up winning the MVP in 2018. And he was this guy that was like Big Papi's, like the last shadow of Big Papi, because he was a guy that was like developed. He came into the system being trained and like shown how to be a professional in the Red Sox system by David Ortiz. And like that, there's that iconic photo of him like holding him around his shoulder twice in the World Series, in the hallway down to the dugout. It's sad to see him go, but yes, he does deserve every dollar he's getting. What does suck is it's for 13 years, and we will never see him in Red Sox red again, and he will be wearing Dodger blue likely to the day he retires.
I got a quick thing before anybody else goes. When this news broke, actually, Jay the Pats fan, that was the first thing I heard about it. He posted it on the Ride the Wave page.
Mm-hmm.
I'm listening to music while I'm doing it. It's on Spotify. And what song comes up when the post comes up? See You Again by Charlie Puth. I literally almost cried. It was crazy. It was the worst timing ever. But obviously very, very sad. I love Mookie Betts, one of the fan favorites. Like I said, I'm a casual baseball fan.
Right.
But Red Sox is very dear to my heart. Mookie Betts was obviously my favorite player at the time.
And he's not going to be one of those departures where you're going to have fans burning his jersey. Yes, he got what he deserved. Yes, every Red Sox fan wished he would have stayed in the system. Everyone in Red Sox management wished they could have kept Mookie Betts, but
right. I just don't think he was a Boston guy.
Yeah, they just made too many financial mistakes along the way in order to not be able to afford him.
Do you think it's financially, or do you think he just didn't like Boston? Because
it was a financial decision for sure, because
how's the bowling scene? How's the bowling scene out in LA? That could have played a little back there.
Him and Chris Paul could have been good buddies out there.
We've talked about this numerous times, and I think we've had this debate when it comes to the NBA. Boston's just not a market for yourself as an individual. So Mookie going to LA, this is going to be great for him individually for whatever brand he ends up doing, whatever marketing he does. Mm-hmm. And as you said, financially, it sucks. It sucks that they put themselves in that spot, because the Red Sox should have thrown the bag and did anything they can to save him. This is where it's one of those long-term plays. The Red Sox better be a good team in the next 5 to 7 years. Because I'll let this year slide, because we all knew they weren't going to be good, even if it was a 162-game season. But they have to be competitive. They have to at least get into the ALCS. They have to show that, hey, we made the right decision not to sign Mookie. Similar to the Washington Nationals. Say, see you later, Bryce Harper. We're not paying you that money. And they won the World Series next year. Yeah. Absolutely crazy.
Who knows?
So right there, you can't talk shit about the Nationals letting him go, because, hey, we won a World Series without him.
Anything can happen now, especially in the 60-game season. And what's really exciting, like, sports are coming back.
You have Brazier closing it out.
Right. Sports are back, which is really exciting. And I think baseball is the best catalyst, like, to kind of move into this transition time where we have had no sports for the last 4 months, but we have opening day coming up tomorrow or today when this podcast comes out. And it's really not going to be just about baseball as it has been in prior years. Like, you look back at all these things about opening day, it's just been baseball is back. Like, America's pastime sport. I won't say it's America's sport anymore, but it's America's pastime is back. And now, with sports being gone, all of them for the last few months, it's really going to be a celebration of all sports coming back, with the exception of maybe football. Like, this opening day is like going to be big. Like, everyone's going to remember this opening day as the day, like, football, or not football. Everyone's going to remember this opening day as like the day basketball, the day hockey, the day baseball really all come back from after, like, suffering this national, like, crisis.
And I want to say about earlier too, like, it's great that at least Fenway has something around it that fans can attend, and it's gonna save the season. Like, I'm a little excited to go out there, and I'm not a baseball guy, but I'm excited to go down to Fenway. I'm excited to be with other sports fans who are excited for baseball to be back.
Yeah, and there's a scene around Fenway, like you're talking about the like causeway and everything right there, and what is it, Jersey Street?
Not Yawkey anymore.
Yeah, not Yawkey. I was trying to figure out what the new name of it. But you look at a stadium out in, like, where Mookie's playing. Look at the Dodger Stadium. They don't have, like, a scene around the stadium. Yeah, they just have a big parking lot.
Well, Baz brought up the point where, like, you can market yourself in, like, the West Coast better. I look at it like this. That makes a total amount of sense. Boston, you play for the city. You play for your team. You play for the championship. You play for the wins. Like, yeah, Lakers. Like, I think the Lakers are the only, like, West Coast exception. But if you're on the Dodgers, you're on the Anaheim Angels or the LA Angels, you're on the Sacramento Kings, but, like, you're out there in the scene, you're on the West Coast, and you see even, like, for example, like Lob City with Blake Griffin, Chris Paul, like they became marketable as Lob City. and they were a good enough
What,
team.
they won one playoff series?
Yeah, never won a thing.
That's what I'm saying. But they all had individual success. Like DeAndre Jordan got the bag.
Yeah.
Blake Griffin got
Eventually.
Chris Paul built his brand and everything like that, but they didn't win anything.
These are three Boston examples, although all three of them are from California. Tom Brady, Julian Edelman, and Paul Pierce. Those are guys who played in Boston, but in the offseason lived in LA, lived in that area, so they're able to shine. And I think if you're a player that wants to build your brand, that's what you need to do in the offseason is live in Miami, live in LA, live in New York City, one of those three major cities while you're in the offseason, because then you can say, oh, I play for the Boston Celtics, Bruins, Red Sox, whatever, Patriots. And then you're also in that major media market. So that's the way to expose yourself.
To wrap up baseball talk, so I think every Red Sox fan's plan for this coming offseason was to bring Mookie back. That's out the window now. Like he's committed to LA for the next decade and a half, basically. So the Red Sox they're going to have money to spend now that they probably were going to spend on Mookie if they got the chance. And now they have money to sign another big free agent. They probably are going to want a pitcher because we have zero pitching whatsoever.
Let's sign David Price again.
Sign David Price again in 3 years.
What are you guys' thoughts on these long contracts? So you see him with Bryce Harper, you see him with
Mookie
Betts. That's what I'm saying. I get that, but for a team standpoint, it's like,
right.
Or even like as a player, you get it, the security, but like if your team's bad, like Manny Machado, like he's not going to do anything. He's just going to be out there West Coast, like we just said. But also, my thing is with this, I totally just lost my train of thought. Like you see Giancarlo Stanton, he got that huge deal with the Marlins traded to the Yankees. And he hasn't really done much else since, but he's still getting a crazy amount of money. The amount of risk and reward that these baseball teams take, I don't get why. Like, if I were a baseball player, I think I would do every single year. If I was, like, not trying to be, like, if you sign a long deal, you're not competitive. Yeah. But if you're trying to, like, win championships, get your legacy, do, like, a 2+1 every single year, except for ask for crazy amount of – you can still get a ton of money just keep popping around to different teams.
In baseball, you need to have a foundation. You need to have someone you can build around. That's why it worked with Machado to the San Diego Padres a few seasons ago because the Padres had barely anything. They had nothing. They have a lot of prospects. They have a lot of money to spend. So they bring Machado in, and they're spending like $30-something million a year on him. And now he's the guy that they can build around. Like, I hate Machado, but he's a great ball player, and he's that third baseman that the San Diego Padres can build around for the next 10 years.
It's the mindset, too, of the owners of the GM to say a big name is going to put asses in the seat. Right. And even if it's 7 or 8 years, like if you're in Philly, you know that Bryce Harper is playing down in Philadelphia. You're going to go watch that team. Yeah. Even if he's on one of the worst teams out there, you're going to
People are still excited to see Pujols on the Angels. Even
exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Wait, Joe, speaking of money real quick.
Wait, can I finish my thought?
Yeah, go nuts.
About just to finish baseball.
Yeah.
Get rid of baseball.
Wait, I had one question after that.
Oh, okay. But to finish, like I was saying, if the Red Sox weren't to bring a pitcher in, if they wanted to spend money on a big-name free agent, George Springer from the Astros is that guy. He's Yukon blood. I've been saying it for the last, 3 days. Bring him in. Why not?
He's going to get beamed. He'll get beamed every time he's up there.
Hey, Yukon in Boston works. Ray Allen, Kemba Walker, George Springer's the next one.
Watabe, I just want to ask you real quick. The last thing about baseball, we'll move on. Today they showed off the Black Lives Matter big billboard outside on Interstate 90. I was listening to Felger and Maz a little bit earlier. They were talking about that big billboard. Like, you know how people are. They see it on Facebook and they're going to complain. I'm never watching the Red Sox. I'm never doing this. But they were saying, like, if you looked at that billboard beforehand, it was an anti-gun billboard, and no one cared about that. And I like that little analogy that they're saying that, that's just it's a billboard. Like if you don't care about it, walk by it. Just ignore it. That's it. What do you think about the Red Sox doing that? Because that's a big statement. I think to put that. It's huge. It's significant to put that right on a major highway like that. Their logos on it. I know that I believe baseball is going to do Black Lives Matter on the mounds or something.
Yeah,
like that.
And I
wanted to hear your thoughts on it.
I think players will have an option to wear a patch, actually, that just came out today. The option, so the NBA is doing, they can wear, a statement or something on their jersey. MLB, I think it came out today that they can actually wear a social justice patch. They'll have a few choices of patches that they can add to their jersey, and it'll be, fully customizable for each player. But I am a big fan of having that Black Lives Matter 20-foot billboard right by the Mass Pike, right next to Fenway. Even though when I'm driving by it, I barely noticed that thing. I'll definitely people take notice to it. It makes noise. It gets the people talking about what's going on at Fenway. They're in touch. They're in tune with what's going on in society. But half the time I'm driving by, I'm looking behind it. I'm trying to see like the lights from Fenway, the light stanchions.
I have my eyes on the road as responsible driver.
See a little piece of history.
Joe, we were just talking about big contracts. What are your thoughts on Ninja making the most money out of anybody? $30 million to not play video games. Esports, you can get the bag. I know esports, $30 million not to play a game.
No, I know. On this podcast, I've been very, very anti-esports. I said it's a joke, which I stand by. It is a joke. If you're watching other people play video games in your spare time, you're a loser. I'm sorry. That's just how I feel about it.
You want to play 2K later?
I mean, I'll play 2K later. Okay. No, but seriously, I mean, good for Ninja. Honestly, if I could not play video games for $30 million, I'd do it too. If I was that good at it to get out of a streaming deal. But, you know, at the end of the day, it is what it is.
How long does he not play video games for?
It's like a couple months.
His
it's like nothing.
Platform shut down, so they had to buy his contract out. Because it got picked up by Facebook. So he got the rest of his contract, which is $30 million for this year.
Finish off.
And now he can't go anywhere yet because he doesn't want to like stream on YouTube because like that's not a YouTube deal and he wants to make money off it or something like that. So he's getting paid $30 million just to sit at home. I'm like this,
and that's good for him because then he could take this time to just readjust and be like, this is what I got to do for my next chapter.
I don't think more people on the internet hate Ninja. Whenever he puts out a tweet, I just always look at the comments, and it is a war zone.
He's also a Lions fan, too.
Well, he's cringy. He's cringe. That's what it is. He dyes his hair every 5 seconds. Like,
and
he's a weird guy.
Also rich.
We're not his audience, though. His audience is like under 10.
Shame on us. Like, we're trying to make it in a podcast business. We're trying to make a sports media company. He's making $30 million by not playing video games. Like, we're doing life
I will
wrong.
dye my hair $30 million and talk to 10-year-olds on the internet all day.
I got
through Twitch. Let's just make this straight. Through Twitch, playing video games in my Twitch chat.
That did not sound good, Tyler. That sounded pretty bad.
Will it work if
2020. I'm about to get canceled for.
Will it work if instead I bleach my mustache and then make it blue?
There we go.
Well, then we make it.
I don't know. That might be a Blue Lives Matter thing. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I can't do that.
Yeah,
we don't know.
Then blue line.
Pull the plug.
All right, NBA is coming back soon. The Celtics are in the bubble. I like this. I like this more than I thought it would as a fan.
This bubble's fun to, yeah.
I know because like the NBA, dude, they're so smart. Like, they send a videographer down there, and then they let the players do whatever they want. Like JaVale McGee, Matisse Thybulle. I've been watching their like daily vlogs they post on YouTube just because it's kind of cool to see behind the scenes.
Yeah.
This is like the one time in sports you could truly get all the behind the scenes, all like the uncut locker room stuff, simply because people are A, are excited the sports are coming back. B, there's nothing else to do. And it's like an AU tournament and they just want to see like everybody's so focused on like the intricacies of the bubble. And all these players are getting like, there's no middleman. There's no media alter or anything. Yeah. Like if JaVale McGee just posts something about Dwight Howard or J.R. Smith eating dinner together, and it's like there's not going to be any.
They're going to see him in the lunchroom and just kind of give him a look, like
or if LeBron just eats dinner with like Giannis or something like that. There's no one who's going to be like, they're going to team up. It's like
tampering.
No, they're on a campus together, dude. You just need to eat. I think that's cool.
Is there tampering in the bubble?
Oh, buddy, there's tampering out of the bubble.
I have a question. This is an objective question, no bias involved. So. The NBA bubble, we all know it's probably going to pop at some point because someone's going to break down and get, I don't want to get into specifics, but you know what I'm talking about. So, which Celtics player, which Celtics player, in your opinion, is the first one to break the bubble to get some little something? Which Celtics player?
Jaylen Brown.
No, nope. This is the answer.
Wasn't wearing a mask. Nobody. Brad Stevens has that team locked down. Brad Stevens has
it's
that
a trick
team
question.
Focused.
That was a weak answer. I want a player.
I have one. Vincent Poirier.
That's fair.
I'm not even kidding.
What's his name? Vincent Sex Daddy?
Yeah, something like that. And he just drips out. I think he's married though, so.
Hey, bubbles pop.
I think this Boston Celtics team this is actually great for them.
Dude. They can cook.
This is great for them because now they're all together. They're spending this time. They're forced to spend this time together. And this is the way to build chemistry. Similar to like Doc Rivers back in 2008 when they traveled. Where did they end up going to? A cagey. they went to Rome, and it was a great way to get the team together. I believe, was it last year or 2 years ago, Stevens went down to Rhode Island and had everyone kind of get together for a week for like a little camp.
Yeah, but Kyrie was there. So
yeah,
it doesn't really count.
Ruined the whole damn thing.
But this is a great way to get the team building into each other. I mean, they already had great chemistry as is. It's just that, unfortunate, during the season, someone's always hurt at some time. This is a great way to have everybody together at once. I think it builds the chemistry enough that I think they go to the finals. If this NBA thing can actually happen and work out, I see this team going to the finals. And I see other teams like the Lakers breaking down within. Some of these teams are going to break down within themselves.
I think it's Celtics, Lakers.
I think they're going to break down within themselves.
Yeah, like when you look at it like this, the Lakers are just way too good. And now the fact that there's no fans, this is going to be open gym. So you know who I think is going to be unreal? Carmelo Anthony. Because every single video of him working out, he looks like the best player on the planet.
But where are you going to find that energy if you don't have fans there? Like if you're kind of down
he didn't have fans here. The best he's ever looked at basketball recently is on Instagram when he's at the gym by himself. He's about to be playing basketball in the gym by himself, an open run, no fans, no media people, no.
No, hold on a second.
That's where the lower seeds are going to have such a big advantage. Like there is no home court advantage anymore. There's no road wear from traveling like to city from across across the country. You are not going to have that anymore. You're not going to have that wear and tear. There's no home court anymore.
That's the thing that always held back the Nuggets is because the Celtics do, but the Nuggets especially because they were always the 2 seed, 3 seed because they just play well at home. They had a good home court advantage. That's out the window now.
But they got Bol now.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Speaking of which, he did really well. But one thing I have to say, the worst player in the bubble, if we're going by that logic, where they benefit from like less fan distraction and everything, Rondo. Rondo's gonna suck in the bubble because he has no national media attention.
Yeah, Rondo's not even gonna play, so that's not a big deal for him.
I'm just saying.
I think I thought this was interesting. Kemba talked about it and talking about LeBron. LeBron must love this just because, again, the no media attention, no fans. Right. He's in his area. No one's going to go up to him and be starstruck. I'm sure some of the younger players like, oh, damn, like that's LeBron. But over time, you just say, hey, what's up, Bron? What's going on? You just pass by. He must love this right now, just being kind of in his own world. It's like a vacation, but you still got business. It's a business trip for him, and I think that's going to help him succeed. Yeah, like I don't think him personally will blow up in the bubble, but I think the team around him, I think he's going to get frustrated. And it's just going to be interesting to see what happens.
It's really funny seeing the comparisons after the NBA built a barber shop somewhere on the campus and all the comparisons to like this is literally NBA 2K, the neighborhood in real life, because you have all these NBA players just walking around, just doing their own thing, going to the swimming pool, going to the golf course, playing outside.
If this bubble is successful and we get through this entire season, quote unquote, does the NBA try to mimic and do something similar to this, like a summer league?
This is a one-time thing.
This is just going to be a one-time thing.
I think this is a one-time thing unless this virus doesn't go away.
I don't even know. Like baseball aren't they doing something like AL and NL are meshed up at just 3 different divisions or something?
Yes. Well, so it's basically 3 divisions. It's just the AL East playing the NL East. Yeah. So it's basically just the East Division, the Central, and the West. And I
wonder if the NBA will do something like that. Like I wonder because division games in the NBA mean literally nothing. Like who cares if you're an Atlantic Division champion? But in baseball, that means everything. Yeah. The only thing it means for like basketball,
it just helps with scheduling.
The top 4 seed. Yeah, that's really all it is. I wonder if they put a more importance on that after this season. I mean, who knows? Not me.
Yeah, well, like every team from our division's made the playoffs except the Knicks, like the last 2 years, right?
Yeah, it's when us, Philly, Nets. Speaking of Nets, they got Jamal Crawford, and if you want to talk about someone who's going to run an open gym, Jamal Crawford I think he's playing for a contract next year, and he has no pressure.
That dude is like 40-year-old killer.
Yeah, he will always. He has like the chance to just hang 50 on anybody's head any day. Deshaun Holmes on the Kings gets a 10-day slap on the wrist quarantine session because he got chicken wings from Grubhub or something like that. Kelly Oubre hit that tweet. He was like, "Oh, you guys can get Uber Eats if you want." Half an hour later, he's like, "Just kidding. Never mind.
It's tampering." He knew what he was doing.
You know what I think is like really, really cool about this though is like I kind of already mentioned like the vlogging, people podcasting. Like JJ Redick already signed with a ringer. He's been doing that for a while, but like he has all the guests in the world he can want in the same campus as him. So I think people like that.
You guys want to come over to my hotel room?
Yeah. And then you see DeAndre Ayton, you see Gordon Hayward, you see all these other guys like streaming. Like the NBA obviously isn't the most like. I'm sure you can do this if you're an athlete, no matter what. But I feel as if the NBA, you can transition to life outside the NBA way smoother than other sports, and you can even start it when you're 19, 20 years old, like DeAndre Ayton streaming, getting like De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox is better at video games than he is at basketball. He's phenomenal at basketball. So after that, esports is the wave, Joe. Like you can say what you want.
No, it's not.
It's like a college environment. It's like a college environment where you have a bunch of these guys playing video games in their rooms.
Yeah,
instead
well,
of
even
free time. You got guys out of the pool.
They should
guys
definitely
hanging
make
out,
$30 million.
social.
Yeah, Frat House should make $30 million playing Fortnite. Give me a break. I hate that. I don't
hate that. Everybody, like we just said, chase your bag. If your bag is playing video games, like for example, the Coach Doug's thing for Big Cat at Barstool, he had 156,000 people watching him play a video game at the same time.
Hey, no, that
was more than the actual Rose Bowl.
You know what?
That is crazy.
If there's a market for it, then go for it. I mean, I applaud them for capitalizing on their talent and everything, but I just don't see the value in it. I'm sorry. I don't. That's just personally.
I think it's a huge flex because if you were playing like 2K with your friends or something like that and you always won a 2K, like nobody can beat me at 2K, and then you start playing other people, like nobody could beat me at 2K. Like get me paid for this. And
wait, so can I do that in Mario Kart?
Well, you could. I think with that, it's also
so I could do that.
It's also like personality. Like for example, like we're talking like a podcast right now. But you could talk with your Twitch strat. If you're just funny, people tune in just to be entertained and just like have something on in the background or even just like want to play the game. But like it's 50% how well you play the game and 50% how well you connect with an audience. I don't know. NFL. Wait, no, let's cut into your interview, Joe, if you want to introduce that real quick. We got a big one. Go nuts.
Yeah, sure. So Mohamed Sanu's receiver coach, Drew Lieberman, the head guy at the Sideline Hustle, one of the top receiver coaches in the NFL. First of all, thank you, Drew, for coming on. It was a great experience talking to you. Really super cool guy, honestly. We talked a lot before the interview, after the interview. He's going to come back on soon. We kind of talked about a lot with Mohamed Sanu's health, his ankle. Obviously, he kind of broke it sort of midway through the season last year. The production wasn't there. We all know that from Mohamed Sanu last season. But this season, a lot of work being put in the offseason. He's mentally right, he's spiritually right, and he's physically right, most importantly. We're working with both Cam Newton and Jarrett Stidham. I'm expecting big things. He's also expecting big things. Like, I think it's going to go very, very well. He also talks about Cam Newton a lot. Whether or not Cam Newton is the starter or not, listen to the interview and find out. He also likes Jarrett Stidham a lot. A lot. So listen to the interview and find out. Drew, thanks again for coming on, and we'll cut in right now. Interview coming your way. Boston's Big Three. All right, and Boston's Big Three is back with another interview. Now, this time, guys, we have a special treat for you. I'm sure a couple days ago, you guys heard about Bleacher Report. They reported that Mohamed Sanu actually moved in with his receivers coach. Well, we have the receiver coach right here, Drew Lieberman. Hi, Drew. Welcome to the show. Appreciate you coming on.
No doubt, man. Appreciate you having me. I'm excited to be here.
Definitely. So before we kind of get started with the other stuff of the interview, I just wanted to start with kind of an introduction, like tell the audience who you are, how Sideline Hustle began, and your roots.
Yeah, no doubt. So Drew Lieberman, I graduated from Wesleyan University 2013. That's kind of where my coaching career began. I played quarterback, Wesleyan, blew my shoulder out, and then eventually worked my way into being the full-time quarterbacks coach as a junior in college. So that's where it really all started for me. From there, I coached at University of Albany my first year out of college. Then was at Rutgers for 3.5 years. At one point was the youngest coach in the Big Ten. And that's like where I feel like I learned a lot. You know, I worked for some really, really great coaches. Ralph Friedgen, who used to be the head coach of Maryland. He was my offensive coordinator the first year. He's like a college football Hall of Famer. He's won a national championship, coaching the Super Bowl. And then I worked for Josh McDaniels' younger brother, Ben McDaniels. He was, my real first direct mentor. He really taught me a lot of the details of the wide receiver position. And then Anthony Campanelli, who was another local guy, was at Boston College for a while, and now he's with the Miami Dolphins. Those three guys really were, and Aaron Smith also is the receivers coach at UConn now. Those four guys really, I was blessed to have great mentors and all the success Sideline Hustle's had and my ability to now train all these pro guys. I've taken a lot of that and made it my own, but I'm just so grateful for the initial education I got from some four really, really great coaches. And I've combined, I think, the best assets of all of them into what you guys see now. So it's definitely, I think, important when you look at Sideline Hustle just to understand the foundation and understand, in coaching, none of us reinvent the wheel. None of us, come up with our own stuff. It's all taking bits and pieces from other people, combining into a system that's your own. And ultimately, I think coaching is, your ability to relate to players more than any of that stuff anyway. Anyway, from Rutgers, kind of was looking at the landscape and realized like, as much as I love football, like all these guys work 20 hours a day. They don't have a family life. They don't have a social life. Like, I don't know if I can sacrifice all those things, in the name of winning a national championship. So kind of stepped away to try and build a life I'd be more proud of, and went to get my master's degree in writing. Think I was going to write a book about all the crazy experiences coaching football. And then that's when the Sideline Hustle was born. The book became a podcast. Podcast built a huge audience. And then that became kind of the video breakdowns you guys see now. Then we went crazy on social media and picked up a bunch of followers. And through kind of the social media, creating content and getting the name out there that way, a lot of pro guys started to reach out to me through a bunch of Rutgers connections. I got connected with Mohamed Sanu. We've been working together for about 2 years, and he's kind of the guy that's been the gateway to everything else and has helped put me on the map and kind of legitimize everything. And now at this point, the news broke that we're living together. We're basically like brothers at this point, and just, gonna ride together as long as we need to till the job's complete. And should be a fun year.
Well, that's great to hear. Obviously, at Ride the Wave Media, we support you 100%. We're really impressed in how you guys are taking that leap after just a couple of years, and how you guys have been really prevalent in the wide receiver community in the NFL during this quarantine especially. You mentioned Mohamed Sanu. Obviously, he's a Rutgers guy. You guys have connections through there. And obviously, last year with Sanu coming in New England, we're a New England-based podcast, New England-based media company, so obviously there's close connections there. He comes in midway through the season, has a great game in Baltimore. I think 10 catches, probably a buck yards. And the rest of the season, he's kind of on and off, depending on – it's a hard system to pick up. Kind of take me through Sanu's mindset this offseason, what he wanted to improve on and what he wanted to get better at.
Yeah, I think just overall, I think he just felt like he left some things out there. I mean, obviously he broke his ankle after that Baltimore game, the next game, so playing on a bum wheel most of the year. But with that said, he still felt like he could have played better, felt like he could have made the adjustment better, and just – overall just kind of assessed where he was in his career and wanted more for himself, and just invested more in himself completely. Like just the way, he put himself on a full schedule from morning till night on taking care of his body, taking care of his mind, enhancing his game 24 hours a day. I don't know many people that operate that way. And it was impressive to see for a guy who's accomplished a lot in his career, has been established himself as a consistent receiver, a guy who would play 12, 13, 14 years in the league without any of that. And to see him kind of humble himself and just want to reinvest in himself more. It was really the overall theme. We had a couple like specific things. I watched all of his games from last year and kind of came up with a self-scouting report, and we had some specific details that we wanted to work on together. But, he just really recommitted to himself overall. He hired a full-time track coach. He had a full-time chef, nutritionist. He brought me in full-time, and just like really, created a team and created an environment around himself where he could, really thrive and get the most out of every single day, which is what he's done. It's been cool to see.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I've seen the progress he's made with all the videos, obviously from Sideline Hustle, as well as his own personal page. He's really come a long way. The main thing for me, obviously being a Patriots fan, is seeing if that ankle is healthy, like you mentioned. See if he's 100%. It sounds like he is on his way to being 100% mentally and physically. So we're glad to hear about that. Obviously, there's been a lot of news in the media about the Patriots lately because of former MVP Cam Newton being signed to the team. I've seen Sanu working out with him quite a bit, as well as N'Keal Harry. And I saw you had the opportunity to see Cam Newton performing as well when you were training Sanu. Kind of take me through that workout and how that went with Cam throwing to Sanu.
Yeah, all of that kind of happened accidentally. Cam and Sanu kind of knew each other because Cam's from Atlanta, Mo lives in Atlanta, so they've like run into each other at workouts and stuff. And I guess when Cam signed officially, he called Mo and they were talking. He was like, "What you doing?" And he's like, "Oh," and Cam was like, "I'm going to LA this week," and Mo was like, "Oh shoot, we're going to LA too," like coincidentally. And they looked at the flights, and we were on the same flight to LA. Like it was a crazy coincidence. So that kind of just happened by chance. But we met up and we were out there and just did like simple routes on air and just kind of got timing down and ran the basic route tree. But Cam looked good, man. His energy was awesome. Like he was just his energy was the biggest thing that stuck out to me. Just like his energy is infectious, and he came such a positive force and really like just ran the workout through his energy and let that go. And then me and Mo just did what we had to do with the routes, and I was coaching him up, and they looked good, and the connection was good. It was fun to watch.
That sounds unbelievable. I mean, obviously we've seen Cam Newton's progress through his rehab, through his Instagram. Obviously he's well documented. He's been rehabbing. He's been getting right. He's working out to goddamn gospel music. That's a whole different psyche to have. That's a whole different monster, different beast. And it's good to hear that he's, syncing well with Mohamed Sanu and kind of getting that chemistry right before the season starts. I've also kind of obviously I'm a big fan of Silent House. I've been following for a while now, and I've seen some of the videos you've put out working with Joe Stidham as well, because Sanu obviously has worked with both quarterbacks. It's an open competition, as Bill Belichick always loves to say. There's a lot of hype around Cam Newton, and rightfully so. MVP quarterback, 2015 MVP, Super Bowl almost champion. Obviously, it was a whole Denver Broncos situation. And he's obviously been a very good player, very good NFL player for a very, very long time. And you have Stidham, who completed, I think, attempted 6 passes all of last regular season with a pick 6, obviously, to Jamal Adams. That's how most Patriots fans, or actually NFL fans in general, remember that guy by. And obviously, in the Boston media at least, he's been hyped up. Bill Belichick believes in this guy. He believes in this guy. He's the heir apparent to Tom Brady. And then they bring in Cam Newton, and people start saying, oh, maybe they don't believe in him so much. What's going to go on here? What's happening? He even disabled his comments on his Instagram. People were kind of clowning him, trying to get him all angry and stuff. Take me through what you see in Jarrett Stidham as of your workouts being with him.
I think Stiddy's great, man. I think he's just got a great presence about him. He is really, you could tell he's really committed himself to learning the playbook. He understands the system really well. When we're out there, he takes charge of everything. He knows all the details of what he wants from everyone. I really just like his overall mindset, his attitude, the way, just his overall presence. It's what you want in a quarterback. It's a guy who's sure of himself, a guy who's confident, and he just communicates well with everyone. I think that's the coolest thing working with him, is just watching him interact with guys, watching him be a leader, watching him run the show that way is cool. And I think he's got something to him. He's got a certain it factor to him that I've been around great quarterbacks, and I think he's got that sort of just charisma to him. So that's impressive. I mean, I've never seen him throw in person until recently. I think he looks great. I think he's throwing the ball well, but I think it'll be cool. I really have no idea what their plans are or why they brought Cam in or any of that, but working with both of them has been cool to see, guys with different personalities, but both leaders in their own right. And I think they both have great, they're both going to push each other for sure. Cause I think they both have that sort of alpha presence. And if anything, regardless of how it turns out, I think they're both going to make each other better and put some pressure on each other, which will be good for the organization as a whole.
100%. The number one thing I thought of immediately when we signed Cam Newton, because I actually had a theory for a long time we were going to sign Cam Newton, whether that was to be a starter or for something else. And I've been kind of working with this the last couple weeks, just kind of talking about it with myself. And so Cam Newton, you get brought in. I think Belichick, the evil mastermind that he is, looks to Stidham, sends him the message right away, hey, we're signing Cam Newton, to get in this guy's head, to see what he is made of, that inner dog. Those quarterbacks you're talking about, you've worked with a lot of interesting, good quarterbacks who've started for a long time in the NFL. And so you look at those guys, and you said they have that certain charisma, that attitude. And you said Stidham has that same thing. I think Belichick brought in Cam to kind of bring that dog out of Stidham and say, hey, we just brought in a former MVP quarterback. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to take charge? Are you going to fall in the back seat? What are you going to do? And from what you've said so far, it sounds like Stidham was more than willing to compete with Cam Newton and become that starter, no matter what the obstacles are that are in front of him. So that's great to hear as a Patriots fan.
Yeah, I think probably you're probably about right on that. There's it's just added pressure. This whole year's got to be figuring out who the next guy is. You know what I'm saying? And who's gonna replace 12 and all that stuff. So I think that it just accelerates the process of learning more about Stidham when you watch him handle this situation. So I think that's it'll be interesting. It's gonna be really, really interesting to see how it plays out. I think it's a cool situation to kind of be in the middle of, because it's definitely one of the more interesting quarterback situations in the NFL.
100%. And speaking of 12, I have to ask everybody on this show, Tom Brady, 6-time Super Bowl champion, obviously best player of all time, in my opinion, goes to Tampa Bay, leaves New England after 20 years. I have to know your thoughts on this, because obviously Sanu worked with Brady for at least half the year last year, and they played in Super Bowl against each other in 51. What are your thoughts on Tom Brady going down to Tampa Bay? And as a receiver coach, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, they're no slouches. So how do you think Tom Brady's going to do in Tampa Bay?
Not slouches. They got the monsters down there. I don't think people realize how good Mike Evans is. A top 5 receiver. You can't argue the guy's production. The guy's had over 1,000 yards every year in the league. He's he's not the fanciest receiver, so that's why he doesn't get the hype, and he plays in Tampa, but this guy is a monster. I mean, Chris Godwin's coming on, and then you add Gronk, who's probably the best tight end of all time. You got to see what kind of shape he's going to be in and all that after not playing a year, but I imagine he'll be fine. And you got the kid O.J. Howard. They got 4 of the best targets, in the NFL, and they got a good defense, and they have, some good running backs. I just can't imagine, I don't know that Tom is the Tom of old physically, but I can't imagine a guy with his experience, his leadership, and his knowledge of how to win championships doesn't elevate all of that. And they seem to have all the tools around them. So common sense would tell you they're going to be good, but you just never know, especially with all the stuff that's happened. not having OTAs, not having time to click. Like they're going to have less time to create chemistry, but I just can't imagine it doesn't go well and they don't find a way to win games. It's just a matter of how long it takes to click, and then of course staying healthy, because one of those 4 guys I mentioned goes down and it changes the whole dynamic of the weapons they have. So there's always all kinds of factors. On paper, it looks like they'll be good, but it's football. The reason you play the games is because anything can happen.
Right. And the number one thing I think is going to be interesting in regards to one of those guys going down, like you just mentioned, is the whole COVID situation. I mean, the NFL so far has not really announced a plan. I know they're meeting at 2:00 today to kind of discuss the safety protocols for training camp coming up and how that's going to affect the preseason games and schedule and all of that. I want your thoughts on the whole COVID situation. Obviously, these players have been locked out of their facilities for almost 4 months now, 5 months now, and you've obviously profited off that. You've made a lot of different connections because of that. Kind of take me through what some of these players that you work with are thinking about the current COVID plan for the NFL. Like, do they feel safe? Do they think there's going to needs to be more measures taken to prevent exposure? Or do you think it's just kind of a throw in the towel situation because people are going to get it?
I think that guys are kind of mixed. No one really knows how to handle it. I think what a lot of guys have just resulted in is like, all I know how to do is get ready for a football season. So I'm just going to do my job and get ready. Like, we do what we got to do to stay safe, and we've just been focused on the work. And it's like, I can't get caught up in this COVID update, that COVID update. Like, either way, Mohamed Sanu's got to be ready to score touchdowns, when and if there ever is a game. So I think I think that's been most guys' mindsets, is like, I got to go about it business as usual. Now that it's coming closer, I think guys just want, something solid. I think that it's more the uncertainty that's killing guys, and the lack of a plan, I guess, the lack of a solid, and maybe it's not even that there's not a plan. It just hasn't been communicated very clearly. So I think guys are just kind of waiting to hear, what the plan is. I don't know that everyone has a plan that they feel safe or not. It's just because not everyone really knows what to expect or what it's going to look like at all yet. So I think everyone's kind of playing the waiting game, and in the meantime, just trying to get better every day.
So far, what the NFL has told me, at least through all their press releases and all their plans, quote unquote, that they're going to treat it essentially like another injury, expand the practice squad, and have them go on 2 weeks IR and then come back. That's pretty much what I've heard, and that's what I've looked at. And then they try to ban the jersey swaps after the game. Like, that's really going to make a difference. Football's a man's game. You're spitting, you're coughing next to each other. You're up in everybody else's face. If someone has COVID on that field, most likely it's going to be spread throughout that entire locker room. So I really don't – it's really a hard situation, obviously, and the NFL has handled it very poorly, in my opinion. So if I'm a player, I'd be pissed too, because it's not just me I'm looking out for. It's my family. Russell Wilson tweeted about it yesterday. My wife's pregnant. Like, I don't want to bring this back to her because she is at risk and potentially lose that child. So it's definitely not an easy situation, but the NFL needs to handle it much better than they have. I just think the NBA has obviously been kind of a benchmark in kind of treating players fairly when it comes to this. They created the bubble and everything, and they put a lot of precautions into place. And so the NFL needs to take some notes.
Yeah, I just think that's not realistic, though. Like, there's just like, the NBA does a good job, but it's also just like they got 15 guys on the team, and the NFL is talking about expanded rosters to allow in 60, 65. Like, it's a different beast that way with like the bubble and things like that, but it definitely seems like the NBA has some sort of a bubble, and the NFL is just kind of letting guys see whoever they want outside of practice. So there's definitely a lot of things that need to be tightened up. But, I was watching some show today on SportsCenter or something, and they said that's basically the situation the MLB and the NBA were in right before they start, like 7 days before they opened. The players were like, what the heck, there's no plan, and they figured it out in the last hour. So hopefully it'll be the same here.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree with you. And even just going back to that bubble real quick, like, eventually someone's going to get horny and someone's going to invite an Instagram model over, and then it's going to spread COVID all throughout that bubble. Like, it's going to happen eventually just because of just the reality. Like, we're social people. Like, that's how it works. So eventually it'll happen. There's already been a snitch hotline. Dwight Howard's been caught like 12 times already. So I don't know how it's going to go with especially NFL roster, like you just said, with 60 plus people traveling with the team. When it comes to the Patriots overall, obviously we've mentioned over and over again throughout this interview, you and Sanu are very tight, almost like brothers. You are now moving in together. What are your expectations for the team overall going into next season for the New England Patriots?
I think they still have a good team. I mean, it's just about the signal caller. Like, if they get good play out of their quarterback, they should be good. Like, they didn't, last year everyone thought that the Patriots were going to be go deep into the playoffs and all this. They didn't. But obviously the team, aside from Brady, was what allowed people to have that perception. And I think the defense is still good. I think that, I think the as long as the offensive line improves, to me, that's the X factor. I think the offensive line needs to be better for whether it's Cam Newton or Stidham or whoever it is. if they're consistent, I think the receivers will be a lot better having a year together and all that. And N'Keal Harry's going to be a year better. Sanu's going to be healthy. Edelman is consistent. And I think it comes down to the signal call like it does for every other team. So if they get good play out of one of those two guys, I think they'll have a chance to win a lot of games.
Yeah, you mentioned N'Keal Harry, obviously compared with Mohamed Sanu. They spent a lot of different formations last year. Spent a lot of time together working and grinding. Obviously, we've seen a lot of progress from N'Keal Harry this offseason as well. That receiving core is really up and coming when it comes to guys like Jacoby Myers and N'Keal Harry, kind of second-year guys are going to take that huge step forward this upcoming season. Like you said, it all depends on the quarterback play. The number one thing I wanted to kind of talk about, too, when it comes to quarterbacks in general is the center position. David Andrews obviously had that terrible blood clot injury, prevented him from playing last season. Obviously, was a big factor and how this team ended up finishing the season. Without a strong anchor in the middle of that offensive line, you don't really go very far. So Andrews is on track to come back. Thank God he's recovered so well. Definitely not a Chris Bosh scenario so far, which is we're very grateful for. The one thing I've kind of noticed throughout this entire process of Cam Newton being brought in, I haven't seen Andrews and Cam Newton work together yet. And the number one thing that I want to kind of talk about is because I know Stidham and Andrews' wives are very good friends, are very close friends. I know that Stidham and Andrews kind of bonded over that. So I kind of wanted to get your take on how a center can, develop that chemistry while actually practicing with his quarterback.
Yeah, I wouldn't overthink that too much. I think that'll happen pretty quickly. They're professionals. They'll be professionals. It'll happen. There'll be little communication things here and there just as guys get used to each other. But I don't think, even though I don't know anything about the personal relationship between Andrews and Stidham, but I don't really think that carries over to the field. It does in the sense that you can trust each other, you have a relationship, but it's still going to be Stidham's first time running the show. There's still going to be adjustments. It's all going to be new for everybody. I think that it's all be new, and it's the first time going into it with no OTAs. I just think that regardless of any of that, it's going to be an adjustment for everyone, and I don't think it's going to play a factor in who ultimately wins the job or anything like that. And I think that as close as those guys may or may not be, I still think there's going to be plenty of adjustments as Stidham is, getting his opportunities to kind of run the team, and Andrew's working himself back healthy and all that.
I agree with you completely. One thing before we go, I need this from you. I know you guys are very, very close. I want a stat line prediction for Mohamed Sanu this upcoming season.
Listen, I don't really have a stat line prediction. I'm not even, as a receivers coach, a big stat guy, to be honest with you. I just want to see him put up better film. The thing we've talked about all the time is he's been a guy who can roll out of bed and have 60 catches, 600 yards pretty much every year of his career. That's been about who he is. So if he's done that with, what he's been investing in himself his whole career, common sense and the football laws would tell you that he's invested so much more in himself that the production should go up accordingly. I'm not one really to predict those numbers, but I would like to think it's going to be the best version of Mohamed Sanu anyone's ever seen, and the production will follow suit.
That was a true coach answer right there. Thank you, Drew, for coming on. We appreciate it. Shout out to Sideline Hustle. Follow him on Instagram. Great organization, great content out there. Drew, thank you for coming on. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon, hopefully.
No, man. Appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
All right. Bye-bye. And that was Drew. Drew, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it a lot. Check out the Sideline Hustle, one of the best Instagram pages for receiving coaches or receivers anywhere in the NFL community or high school, college, you name it. A lot of good tips and tricks on there. The notable thing I think come out of that, obviously, was Mohamed Sanu's ankle is healthy. That's a huge, huge get for the Patriots, no matter how you look at it, no matter how you slice and dice it, that is a win for the Patriots organization. But the biggest thing coming out of it for me was Cam Newton versus Jarrett Stidham. Talked about both quarterbacks. Now, Babs, I know, is on the Jarrett Stidham train. And after this interview, I am too. And I'll tell you why right now. Number one, Jarrett Stidham knows this playbook. He knows it in and out. Babs is looking like he is so surprised.
But Cam Newton won the MVP 5 years ago. Don't you know that? That guy's played 125 games.
No, but hey, let me finish. Okay. Jarrett Stidham's presence in that workout, he had a lot of Patriots guys there, including Mohamed Sanu. He took over that meeting. And the number one thing for me as well, the playbook knowledge. The way Drew described it, he knows the playbook inside and out. All the cadences, all the audibles, all the everything. If you have a master of the Patriots playbook, you are going to start. I don't care what you say. And not even that. How about Cam Newton's Instagram? Cam Newton literally posted on his Instagram, and I quote, "This shit is calculus," and tagged Julian Edelman. That's not a good look for anybody.
And nobody does it. And you don't want that guy as your starting quarterback. Dude, if Cam Newton is the starting quarterback, I'm going to be furious. Simply because I don't care about Stidham. Stidham hasn't given me anything. He hasn't got, he doesn't move the needle. It doesn't give me anything.
That's my argument, too.
For.
Time out.
Who is Jarrett Stidham? I know who Cam Newton is.
Spoken like a casual football fan. That's all I'm going to say.
Seriously.
Spoken like a casual
100%.
football fan.
I don't think that's a bad thing because,
no,
I'm watching for entertainment.
It is a bad thing.
It's
misinformed.
I'm sorry I don't know calculus.
Okay, this is the thing that pisses me off, or someone like a Stafford here. We're just trying to tell the fans.
No, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Beware. Stidham has the chance to beat Cam Newton now, and this is the reason why. The fact is this that makes me laugh, and why I'm dedicated to the New England Patriots is that everyone said this team's going 4-12, 5-11. The second they get Cam Newton, they instantly go 11-5.
The fourth best team in the league.
Yes, and PFT or whatever, they end up doing their rankings. They're fourth in the league, but they had him 15th before Cam Newton. My whole thing is this. We said this. Cam Newton has the shot to win the starting job week 1. Not anymore if there's no preseason games. There's no games for him to show Belichick that he can go against another team. People are so fucking stupid to think, oh, well, he's just going to walk right in there and get the job. This is the New England Patriots. They don't give jobs out like that. You have to fucking earn your position.
That's a great point. And before we even move on here, on last podcast, a couple podcasts before, when Cam Newton was actually signed, I said that. I said this is not a lock to be a starter for Cam Newton. It's going to be a competition. And now because of the no preseason effect, there's more training camp and everything, Stidham has that leg up a lot more than people realize.
Do you think they do this? Do you think they use like in college? I think this is what they should do. Have fun with it, dude. This is a playbook that you'll never have in your life. Why? Yeah. You can McDaniels.
This is what the New England Patriots are going to do, and they've always done this. September is their preseason.
Yeah.
They're going to treat weeks 1 through 4 as the preseason. You're not going to sit out Stidham for the entire year and give him 0 reps. Last year, he got some reps in those first 4 preseason games. They have to do the same thing for Stidham here. It's better off that you have Stidham start the first 2 or 3 weeks and he sucks because people are going to look at them and be like, well, because he's a second-year quarterback. If Cam Newton goes in there and doesn't look good, that's terrible for everybody involved. That's terrible for the fans because they'll jump off the wagon. That's terrible for Belichick coaching. That's terrible for Cam Newton. We've been saying this in Stafford, and I agree with Stafford. QB battle since day 1, and the fact is everyone's going against our mind, Stafford. Stafford, you're a football guy. Me, I'm a Patriots guy. I'm in this shit every day. And the fact that we get put down for saying it's a QB battle, that makes me want to root for Stidham even more. I'm not rooting against Cam. We're not rooting against Cam Newton. He's going to start eventually this season, week 3, 4, 5, unless Stidham looks so fucking good that they can't take him out. Go ahead.
No, so we're going to ride the wave like we always do.
You say the first 4 weeks of the season are going to be the Patriots' preseason, basically.
Which is always like that. That's how they always start slow.
So who is the week 5 starter then?
The week 5 starter could be Cam Newton, 100%.
And Hoyer, baby.
Brian Hoyer out of left field.
I would laugh if Hoyer becomes a starter. Like they just throw him out there.
Yeah, before we move on here, let's go back to Ian Rappaport's podcast where he said, and I quote, Brian Hoyer is the unquestioned starter of the New England Patriots. You're a jamoke, dude. You're a moron.
Like, not as a joke?
On national television. He said, not even with a smile.
Gotta get your clicks. Gotta get your clicks.
Brian Hoyer is the starting quarterback. You got to be kidding me.
My starter. I want that now.
I want to read this too, because we'll move on from Stidham, because I go on this all day. Okay, I need to pull this up. Jarrett Stidham knows that he's working for a job. The fact that people put him down, he was out there in March at Gillette Stadium. He worked all during COVID. He was at Gillette Stadium. Then they finally told him, hey, you can go home to Texas because it's your 1-year anniversary. FYI, his wife's father is the CEO of the Houston Rockets. That guy's got some money. That guy's going to go down to Texas. He's going to go see his family because he knows that she's the breadwinner. And then he restricted his comments.
Yeah, I saw that.
He did, and he completely restricted his comments because everyone was shitting on him on one of his posts saying, you're the backup, this and that, which that's what's going to happen. That's Belichick, bro. Belichick is bringing a guy in for people saying that they're spending $7 million are fucking morons. They're not spending $7 million. They're spending $500,000, $550,000. He can make up to $1 million in his base salary and can make up to $7 million in incentives. He might not hit any of that. I wrote on once I found out that his thing was unrestricted, I wrote on it, and I said, people don't understand the work you've been putting in during the offseason. Glad you got to take the time to enjoy your anniversary back home. Now you know there's a job to earn. Can't wait to see what camp brings. Always going to be haters and doubters at the helm. Prove them all wrong. Him and his wife both like that comment. To me, I was like, he knows everyone's fucking talking shit about him. He knows he has to work harder. What did he do when he got back from Texas? He called everybody, hey, we need to work out. Hey, we need to work out. The thing that's been pissing me off with Cam Newton, I know that Cam Newton just landed today. Whenever you see this a couple days ago, he just got into Boston. Cam Newton's bringing these guys in one-on-one for his own production company. He's doing his own thing. He's trying to make himself look good. And don't forget, I put this out there. He's got a child support case going into court right now, too. He's trying to make himself look good. He has to go into these. Someone told me this the other night. In a child support case, say if I have a kid and I'm used to making $3 million a year, and that kid's used to having someone that makes $3 million, and I lose everything, I have to pay child support up to the $3 million to match what that kid was living, because you can't just make that kid go down. It was something like that. There's shit going on in the background that you can't ignore. The casual fan will ignore it. The casual fan don't care. And lastly, too, don't race bait. Don't say that you don't like Cam Newton because he's black. And that happened to me today. And that fucking pisses me off. There's no need for that shit. It has nothing to do with him being black. It has nothing to do with Stidham being white. It's the fact that Stidham's been in the system for a year. Look what the fuck is going on around you right now. They didn't draft a quarterback. Cam Newton happened to be there still in June as a free agent. They bring him in to push Stidham, see what he has, and he has the potential to become a starter.
But Babs, Stidham threw a pick 6 in the regular season last year.
Brady threw a pick 6 to end his career as New England Patriots, okay? It doesn't matter. He threw 4 passes. What about those preseason games? The fact
You know
is
it's sarcastic, right?
Yeah, I know. The fact is, too,
Joe meant it. He told me.
He could play against the best defense in practice every single day. That speaks nothing. That doesn't mean anything when you have the McCourties praising Stidham.
Who did he throw the pick 6 against?
Jamal Adams.
Jamal Adams.
Still the Jets.
It's Jamal Adams, the best safety in the NFL. Give him
it just fires me up because you know how many. You know
I
me.
want Cam Newton as the starter.
Cam Newton.
That's what I was saying, dude. He
won. He won. How many games did you play last year, Tyler?
He played 2, and they were within 4 days. Yeah, because they were within 4 days. He was hurt, and everyone's like, "Oh, he stinks." He played the 6th and the 9th. He played Sunday night and then a Thursday night, and he played half of it. And everyone's like, "Oh, Cam Newton's done." He played 2 games in 45 minutes.
I never said Cam Newton was done.
How many
players?
players?
I'm about to say you. A bunch of people are like, "Oh, Cam's washed. Cam's this." Also, before you ask this, I think the funniest thing about Cam Newton the other day is when he's like, "I'm done being humble." When he gets a first down, he rips his shirt, and they're down by 40. I'm like, is that not being humble?
How many players realistically come back from an injury and look really, really good, especially with the whole new team?
At least one a year.
Say Brady towards ACL, pretty good.
Yeah.
The comeback player of the year recipient. I don't know, just why not? You had a whole year off.
I just don't believe that you can have a guy come in for 1 month and then be the starter. That's not Belichick. That's not crap.
No,
that's
you're
not
right.
how they
You're
do
right.
that.
You're
and
right.
here's my thing. Quarterback battles. Trubisky versus Nick Foles, that's happening. Tua versus Fitzpatrick, that's happening. I'm sure Justin Herbert's trying to fight for the starting role against Tyrod Taylor. Might not happen. But there are other QB battles going on, and these guys got paid a lot of money. I just look at this. If people wanted Cam Newton, why the fuck was he not signed by 31 other teams? Well, Bill Belichick's playing a genius, dude. All these other people don't know that. Dude, shut the fuck up. Cam Newton's not what he was. Cam Newton's not what he was. They brought him in there.
I'm team Cam.
How dare you attack me and Tyler like that?
Cam till I die. I also like saying I feel as if every time I've said I wanted Cam Newton to someone like football minds, a bunch of my friends are football minds, they lose their mind like this, saying the same argument. I just like saying that I want Cam Newton to be the starter, just to rile people up, to be honest. It's like
Hey, before we go on, if you want to get riled up, check out my Instagram, Ride the Wave Media. Cam Newton's the Night King.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's about you. I don't see you making any Stidham edits. I see you making 2 Cam Newton ones.
Do you want to know why?
Because Stidham stinks.
Because
there's no clips. There's no clips. What am I supposed to work with?
His whole
classic Belichick. No clips out there for people to see.
I'm just saying.
Six you can use.
Can I just say this real quick?
Like a 6-second highlight tape. Threw a touchdown. Technically, he threw a touchdown.
If there's no fans,
you're not wrong.
If there's
no
one
of the best players in the NFL.
If there's no fans in the stadium, How much does that benefit the New England Patriots on their road games this year?
I'll tell you
Seattle,
right now,
Kansas City.
Seattle is going to be a 10 times easier game on the road with no fans. It's going to be awesome. We're going to lose the game anyway because Russell Wilson's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, probably top 2.
I don't know. If there's no fans, that momentum in football, I don't know about that.
No, come on now. You can't.
Sound doesn't help.
I chalked him up as a loss. I think it'll be, and we thought it was going to be a closer game too.
I'm just saying, Russell Wilson's the second best quarterback in the NFL. If Patrick Mahomes did not exist, he's the not even close best quarterback of all, not of all time, but in the NFL right now. Russell Wilson's that good. He's elite.
Here's my thing about the Stidham Cam Newton thing to Watabe and Tyler. Okay, let's say if Stidham is the week 1 starter, right?
I think he will be.
Okay, Stidham goes to week 2. That's the make or break game for him. Because if he can beat Seattle but look good in that game, he has to look really, really good. They're rolling with Stidham for another couple weeks. If that Stidham goes into Kansas City and looks good week 4, they're rolling with Stidham for going to keep rolling. But Newton's going to stay behind him. And that might be at the point where Newton says, I want out of here. Cut me. I want to go somewhere else.
It could be sub packages too. We don't know yet.
We don't know anything.
We don't know yet. It could be a read option package. It could be anything. It could be wild. It could be early Michael Vick on the Eagles where he basically was like a running back. It could be.
I just look at all the fans,
a whole new playbook you can use.
All you casuals naming Cam Newton the starter, you're literally making Belichick giggle because he's like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make everyone upset and start Stidham. Look what I'm going to do. That's what Belichick.
I think the
that's
majority
a compliment
of people
if I can make Belichick giggle.
I think the majority of people think Stidham is going to start in the beginning simply because is this the first year they're doing 18 games or is this the playoff?
No, it's next year.
So they're just doing more playoff
games,
teams?
by the way.
Yeah, just no preseason.
Wait, 19 games?
17
16.
games next season.
19?
17 next season.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's a good number to get, didn't it?
College football, hot seat. We'll see what happens with that. A lot of
is Penn State a basketball school? I don't know.
No, they're football.
We're both, baby.
All right,
I mean,
that was a joke.
Yeah, I mean, Big Ten, they're only playing in-conference games. I think the same things happen in the Pac-12. And everybody can laugh at Notre Dame now. All these Notre Dame purists, we don't need to be in a division. We're the best of the best. We haven't. The only thing that we've done lately is had our star linebacker date a ghost, and all this stuff. That's the most that Notre Dame. I hate Notre Dame fans. Notre Dame fans are like Yankees fans. They think they're good. They think they are walking on water. Then at the end of the day, you're playing. You're a fan of two teams that are really, really good a long time ago. Now everybody just mocks them. So I'm ecstatic that Notre Dame can't play simply because I don't want to hear.
How does this affect draft stocks for some of these players?
That's what I'm wondering, dude. Because there's no combine. I mean, there is the NFL combine.
They'll have it, yeah.
But in basketball, for example, you can run pickup. You can run these Drew leagues. You can run these there's so many. Football. There's so many leagues that you can just showcase yourself. And then you can even just do shooting drills. You can do ball handling drills. You do 3-on-3. You can't really mimic 11-on-11 football.
I feel like this is definitely my question. And I want to say it right now. This is catastrophic for almost every single NFL prospect outside of Pat Freiermuth because he's our guy. But besides that, seriously, no. You know how many one-year wonders that come up as juniors that just ball out in the postseason, just get drafted in the second round? Happens every
the Patriots just
year.
Joe Burrow.
Exactly. If this was this year, Joe Burrow would go in the 6th round, 7th round, maybe undrafted. We don't know. So it depends on this is a big year for people to miss. And it's very
think about not even that. Think about now that teams have to cut 10 players before they even head into camp, and some of those bubble players that are trying to fight.
And we'll bring that a step further. No preseason. You know how many preseason heroes we have? If we had no preseason last year, Stidham's gone. Hoyer's the backup. It's hard to judge these guys. It's such a tough situation.
Gunner would have got cut. Would have made it. I just wonder, if there was no college football, say Pat Freiermuth, does he stay at going 14th overall? Does he be a first rounder? How the hell is that going to work out?
I think you base it. I think this is what you're going to have to do. You're just going to have to base it off the stats before. All right, do you know Micah Parsons? He's the linebacker at Penn State, but he's literally getting universally named the best linebacker in the country, and they're calling him the best linebacker since I forget who they're comparing him to, but he might go number 1 overall. This is a huge year for Micah Parsons. This isn't even me being Penn State biased. This is reporting what national college football analysts are saying. You can check it. Look it up, Micah Parsons draft stock. He's going to be first round, early first round. Anyways, what's going to happen with him? I think he'll still – like the guys that are having the hype now, like the Pat Frymuths, the Trevor Lawrences, like nobody's worried about any of that. It's the 5th round gems you can find, the 6th round.
By the way, can we just announce this right now? Me and Babs are going back to the combine.
Well, yeah, if they allow us to go back there. The COVID, hopefully with COVID. Can I just say this? Does this benefit Bill Belichick then? Because he's somebody
he's smarter.
That has probably all the data on all these players.
All the
is able to judge that.
And dogs can't get COVID.
Bill Belichick thrives when other people have less time to prepare for anything. That's why Bill Belichick's good in short weeks. It's not because he's that good. Because those other coaches don't have enough time to prepare. Belichick's always ready. Other coaches aren't.
Belichick could be ready for the next decade here of just drafting players.
That's what I'm wondering, though. But what do you think he did during quarantine? I think he just sat down. He woke up, looked about everything football, and then went to –
He went to Subway.
Yeah. Dude, that commercial, whenever that comes out, that was just a preposterous picture. He ate that thing like a corn on the cob, not even like a sandwich.
And his posture is so good.
I know.
Billy from the Subway. All right, anything we got to wrap up with? Do we miss
Final thought,
points?
I'm dropping a Patrick Mahomes edit tomorrow, and I'm saying what my thoughts are on the contract. It's going to shock some people. I'm going to say that right now. It's going to shock some people. But shout out to Patrick Mahomes for getting $500 million. That's pretty impressive. I couldn't do it.
You could buy the Mets.
The person with the most pressure in the entire world is Patrick Mahomes' girlfriend right now.
No, it's the Chiefs front office.
Nah.
It's the Chiefs front office. They give him $500 million for 10 years.
All I'm saying is if Mahomes' girlfriend fumbles this bag.
With a $140 million insurance policy, he could tear his ACL tomorrow and walk away with all that money.
Before we go to the final thoughts, I do have one last thing that I want to hear your guys' thoughts on. Tom Brady tweeted this out earlier. I don't know if you guys saw it.
I just saw that.
There are more questions than answers, but we must have faith in our NFLPA leaders, both players and staff, to get the game and the business of football in the right place. Let's stay unified and demand necessary answers from the NFL as partners. We're all in this together, #LFG. Brady, was it in the right place for you and many others to start working out against the NFLPA advice down in Tampa? You completely went against the NFLPA. You started getting everyone together, and you were in a hot spot in Florida. And now you're kind of turning the tide here and saying, well, we need answers. You're not caring about player safety. Just a hypocritical statement by Tom Brady.
Did come out saying that they're doing daily testing for the NFL?
It's every other day, and I think Brady's a robot as well.
Do you think he didn't even say, like, that's a PR thing? Like he probably had no idea.
Alex probably had that tweet.
Yeah, he had no idea he even sent that tweet till he just checked his notifications. Like, who said this?
It's kind of like the immunity enhancers and shit like that. Like how I harped about that because it's like the worst timing to do it. He probably doesn't think that. He's just living in his own world anyways and just wants to promote his stuff. It's just bad timing to say that. I just posted. I'm sure I'm going to get shit on for saying that, but I don't know.
All right, final thoughts. Joe, you said yours. We'll wrap around to Brandon.
Oh, well, today is opening day. We survived 4-ish months without sports. Good job, everybody. Congratulations. We did it. Sports are back. Cheer on your favorite team as long as they're from Boston.
My final thought is for those that are fans of the show, Toucher and Rich, I hope Fred Toucher gets some necessary help. Now that I live in Bridgewater, I have a little bit more of a commute to come home from Boston in the morning, so I get to listen to Toucher and Rich and WEI. WEI sucks. Toucher and Rich, what happened the other day, Fred Toucher showed up 1 hour late to 98.5 in the morning. He was intoxicated. He went on air to talk about that he was having a divorce with his wife. He wasn't in the right place. Rich had to tell him to get sent home. He ended up going home, and they talked about it this morning about how he's going to be taking a few days off. So I was reading into it more. Fred Toucher. I mean, Toucher and Rich are one of the top morning shows in the country. When it comes to sports. So I hope that.
But they're not above us in Chartable. I'm going to say that right now.
Wait, I had no idea about this. I used to listen to Toucher and Rich like every morning on the drive to school.
Yeah, so Corey, GRD, messaged me it was Wednesday. I think we were Tuesday. And he was messaging me. He's like, did you hear Toucher and Rich yet? And I haven't turned it on yet. And he was talking about it. I was looking at the tweets about it. I guess that somebody said that Toucher has some bipolar disorder or mental issues from the past that has been come up every so often. And Kirk Minahan actually talked about this too, Tyler. Like he had something about it, kind of chuckled about or whatever. And I just hope that Toucher and Rich is like one of my favorite morning shows.
I had
love
no idea
listening
about
to
any
them.
of this.
Yeah, so I hope that 98.5. I hope that Fred Toucher gets the help that he has and
Prayers up,
whatever's
prayers
going
up.
on. So I want to listen to you guys, especially with sports coming back.
I mean, we could take
you
over.
definitely need that stuff.
We could
You can
take
listen
over.
to us in the morning.
Yeah, you take over. Oh, I mean,
Yeah,
I
put us
mean,
up there.
You can listen to us anytime. We're not just limited to a morning show.
yeah. I mean, seriously.
You could listen. Was it night? The afternoon?
2 a.m. If you're a weirdo, like who knows?
All
Sleeping
right.
town,
My
I
final
don't know.
thought. Speaking of shows, rest in peace. Mixtape. I mean, legitimately, like I told them this when they did end. Like, unfortunately, things had to come to an end. They're really no fault of their own, but those guys gave me a chance to work with them for the last month. I haven't really been public about it yet, so this is my announcement, quote unquote. I was fortunate enough to work with them for a month. Unfortunately, they ended through unforeseen
So you ended them.
circumstances. Yeah, kind of.
All I know is they
The amount of
lasted
times
for
I've
a
heard
long
that.
time.
You know
Tyler
what? You
comes
know what?
in and they're gone in a month.
No, this is the analogy I'm using. He's like the kid who like divorced his parents. You know what I mean? Like he comes in, he was born, and the parents get divorced. Like it's not your fault, but it actually is his fault. It's one of those
But they are legitimately played a large factor into why I wanted to start a career in sports media and podcasting, whatever you want to call it. So it stinks out loud to see
So ride the wave
show
curse.
that I could leave.
We ain't
Yeah,
letting
I
you
mean,
go.
What I hope they. I mean, if you
Just
listen
when I
to
thought
this,
I
I'm
was out,
sure
they
you know
pulled me
this.
back
Yeah.
in.
But RIP Mixtape, it was a good run. Thanks for giving me a shot.
R.I.P. Barstool, dude. This just I
No, just
No,
let
no,
it
no,
ride out,
listen,
let it ride out,
listen.
Trust me.
no.
I'll tell you off the waves.
No. I'm talking my piece. It's just Barstool grew up on Barstool, dude. This is the reason why I do this stuff. And people can make fun of me. You're trying to be the new Dave Portnoy. You're trying to be like Barstool. No, we love talking sports. We love just shooting the shit about things. And we're actually pretty good at what we do. We've done pretty good things over the last couple of years doing this shit.
And we're
Individually
smarter than most.
I agree, 100%. And we've had great guests on this podcast. And I talked with somebody at NBC Sports Boston the other day because I was, looking into furthering my career as well, too. And I talked with them, and they said, you guys are doing everything right. You have a lot of things that other people don't have. But when it comes to Barstool, it's not what it used to be. It's not the Barstool I grew up on. It's not the Barstool I loved and fell in love with. It's unfortunate Barstool, and to me, and this is my personal opinion, is turning into a total PC nightmare with all these guys that now have check marks and they're kind of going at each other. No sports for Barstool these last 4 months really hurt them. And just too many things got out there, exposed too much stuff. You can shake your head. I'm sure you know more things, but this is just a fan talking.
Yeah.
This is not someone that's on the
You're
inside.
good.
But I'm just saying that I think that Portnoy is probably pissed off to see the way that Barstool's going, and they're losing a lot of their original fan base right now. I would say that. They're always going to have fans. They're always going to have people. But I think they're losing a lot of their original fan base. So
We'll see what happens. All right, Boston Big 3, episode 6. Catch you.